My name is Charlie Banks, and I'm a 17-year-old kid who started the Young Minds Podcast to spread the Word of God. It is my goal to do this podcast. You learn, you laugh, you cry, whatever it may be. I just hope that you enjoy it and maybe grow in your relationship with Christ. But just remember, this thing that the Lord is starting is way bigger than any of us. So let's get after it. All right, welcome to the podcast, man. I'm so glad to have you on today. If you could just introduce yourself, and we'll just keep on going.
My name is Charlie Martin. I am 14 years old, and I'm a freshman at Valdosta High School, and I've been going to the church for about 7 years now.
7 years? Good Lord. Well, I'll get there. It'll happen. But, so, when it comes to your testimony, I know you were saying it was pretty straightforward, but, when it comes to it, why don't you tell it?
So, I've been in the church all my life pretty much. Ever since I was born. If there was church on a day, then we would.
You were there. Like it didn't matter if they were scheduled for Monday. You were there. 7 o'clock in the morning, right?
And we used to go to Perimeter Baptist, but we switched Northside when I was around 7 years old.
Gosh, do you really remember much of Perimeter that much then?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit. Yeah.
But at Northside, I got saved, and I say that in quotations right now because I thought I was saved, but I really wasn't.
Yeah. And
it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I really, Jesus really convicted me, and He told me that I wasn't saved.
Mm-hmm.
I was a not bad kid, but I was just a kid.
I got you.
Doing stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And still doing that.
Yeah, well, at least you know now that you are saved, right?
Yeah. I know I'm saved for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just prayed to Jesus, told him that I believe what he did for me. He died for me on the cross. He rose 3 days later, and he sacrificed his life for me, and that's pretty much where I'm at now.
Yeah, man, love it. And for people, for context, this is probably the first time that me and Charlie have sat down and had like a full-on conversation, which that was partly the reason why I wanted to have you on. I was like, I want to get to know him better, and also just that's why I do it too. Is like partly for people to get to know church members better, and like for me to get to know them better, because like there's 900 people in this church. I'm probably not gonna be able to get through them all, but we'll see. Right? It is. So, you can. I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, but can you maybe go into more detail about when you first came to Northside? Like, how was it for you? Like, was it just like, whoa, this is like really big, or how was it for you when you first came? Like.
When I first came to Northside, it wasn't. I was young, so I really didn't care.
You're just like, it's a new church. I'm here, right?
Yeah, it's just a new church, but I met a lot of new people here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new people, because at Perimeter, I knew no one. I was a shy kid, so I wouldn't talk to anyone. But when I came to Northside, I would start talking to people, start making friends with people, and stuff like that. So.
Well, because I would say it's easy. Like, the environment, it allows it for it to be easier.
They're very accepting.
Exactly. Mr. President, which we'll get into that later, but, that is so true. Like, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't matter, like, age or whatever. Yeah, we have a bit of a gap, and, for, like, our age gap, but, like, it don't matter, because, like, this is going to sound kind of, I don't know, not rude. I'm not trying to be rude, but like, a lot of 14-year-olds, they're not as mature as you are.
Yeah.
And they're not. Like, and that's just the truth. And so it's, it's like, man, this is rough to talk to so-and-so or whatever. But here, I can there's so many people I can point at. It's like, no, I want to talk to them. They're cool.
We're all Christians here.
Exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, man. Exactly. So how did you, and I know we haven't interviewed him yet. It might be coming in the future, but how did you first meet Noah Devine?
Okay, so it was at I think it was the 2022 D now.
Mm-hmm.
We so I wouldn't talk to anyone on the bus because I knew absolutely no one.
Oh gosh.
I was really hoping that I would get in a group with my brother, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think after the first day, people just started it was the night. Yeah, it was the first night of D now.
Yeah.
And we were just all sleeping, and then all of a sudden people just started doing stupid stuff, getting up out of their bed.
Sounds about right. Yep.
Trying to like fight people and stuff, and me and Noah just started talking there, and that's how it happened.
Oh yeah, great conversationalist. You know, and quite the ladies' man, if I do say so myself. But yeah, he was actually the person that I was actually asking. I was like, anything you need me to know, whatever, yada yada yada. And he said, yeah, just he's a great friend and all that. And I'm like, well, I'll keep that in mind then. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like for you, like with how that was, like, you didn't want to talk to nobody that much, but you're like at probably it was somebody else's house, I'm assuming, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm over here. Like for me, that'd be awkward.
Yeah.
Like even if I did know somebody, because I had D now at my house, like that's because my mom was the host home. Even then, that was awkward for me. It's like all these kids are in my house that because I only knew like 2 or 3 of them.
It's pretty awkward.
It is. I mean,
14-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. Well, for mine, it was high school kids. High school boys, and there was a lot of kids that I didn't know. I knew like maybe 2 or 3 of them, and actually, Mr. Brandon was my youth leader for that night, so that made it more fun.
Mr. Brandon was our youth leader for that D now too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, how has Northside as a whole made an impact on you? What you would say?
I mean, first of all, I got saved at this church.
Yeah,
so
man.
That's a big impact.
Oh yeah,
then,
definitely.
Yeah, just a lot of new friends.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, and and also too, like, for me, I don't know about you, but it gives me something to look forward to every week. So,
Yeah,
hey, we get to go to Northside Baptist Church. Yeah, and I know, and Wednesdays isn't happening right now due to the hurricane, but I can't wait for Wednesdays to come back. Yeah, I saw that Wednesdays weren't a part of it, and I was like, no.
I was sad this week.
I know, like.
I look forward to it every week just to go to church.
Me too. I mean, because, I'm not going to lie, school can be rough, and I'm sure it is for you. It's rough, and so that going to Northside for just a little bit and hanging out with everybody is like, because we don't get to see them all that much, like I don't know about you, but I don't get to see like Noah all that much, and like everybody else, and Ethan, I don't get to see them all that much. I get to see him here, and boy, Ethan loves me to death. I don't know why, but he does. Like, I don't mind it. It's just so funny.
School can be really rough, especially as a freshman. There's a lot of new stuff.
And you're about Austin, you said, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of kids there. There's some bad stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's the same way at Lowndes too. Like I remember as a freshman, I was like, what in the world? And even now, I sit there and go, what's going on? Like, I know I'm a senior now, but I'm sitting there going, what in the world's fixing to happen over here?
I feel like Valdosta is worse. There's a lot of low-income kids.
I don't know that for a fact, but there could be. Because I've never actually stepped in there. But you got a nice school though. We both do.
Yeah.
Because they just how long? It wasn't that long ago, and they built that.
It was. I think it was like 3 years ago.
3 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
And then they just got done building the one at Lowndes. I'm like, well, you just trying to copy each other? Like, what are you trying to do? So what does our youth group, why does our youth group call you Mr. President? I gotta ask.
Okay. I really have no idea where this started, but I know it started at the same D now that I met Noah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just giving each other nicknames while we were trying to sleep, but we couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So at first they called me Quiet Kid because I wouldn't talk.
Well, that's like too standard. Like, everybody gets that at some point.
So then everyone just started protecting me for some reason. So they started calling me Mr. President. And now I have like a bunch of bodyguards around the church and stuff.
That's so funny.
It's like Carson's one of my bodyguards.
I don't know if you want him to be your bodyguard. He's like way down here.
I didn't choose him.
He just showed up.
Yeah, Carson just showed up.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I know that they. That's funny they called you Quiet Kid though. Now I guess they figured, we got to protect the quiet kid, so now he's gonna be Mr. President.
It just kind of stuck.
But because I was trying to get your number for this, and I first asked Miss Tasha for it, and what she did? She didn't even say who, Charlie. And I was like, no, you know what she said? She said Mr. President. I'm like, I'm not joking. I was like, oh my gosh, it's spreading. It's like, oh, it was so funny to me.
Yeah, everyone, I don't even get called my normal name usually. It's just Mr. President.
Unless you're me, then I might, So what is your favorite part about being a part of the Northside Youth? Like, if you had to pick, I don't know, one thing or two. Like,
I really like the youth band.
Yeah.
It's really good. They do a lot of good,
100%. Oh yeah, and they definitely do. And one thing that I thought was so cool, I don't know if you were there. Were you there for the tabernacle worship or?
I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, dude, that was so cool. So what Noah did, because he's trying to get, like, I guess you say, like, more inventive with how he does some of the Wednesday nights. And this was so cool. I don't know if he'll do it again, but so, like, what he did, he put the worship band in the center.
Oh yeah, I was there.
And then, we're all on the, and
we're on the outside.
That was so cool to me. I like that setup. I don't know. It just was like a really cool way of doing it.
Yeah, you got like each band member facing.
Yeah, and I'm just like staring right at Noah. I'm like, sing, boy, sing. Like, and because I was trying to, because me and his mom were over here like, go higher a little bit, because he kind of is a bit sometimes monotone a little bit. Not saying that Noah can't sing, because he can if you're listening. But, he's sometimes a bit monotone. We're like, go higher, come on, reach that level up there. I know, but that was a really fun night, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in that new area, though.
Yeah, the upstairs, it's gonna be good.
Well, because there's going to be like a hangout area over there and all this good stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't want to know how much money this is going to cost, because I don't have to worry about it, but imagine how much money they're forking out for this thing. Like, and I remember, because I told you I went up there when they first did the demo, right? After they got done with it, it was so messy. My gosh, like
I bet.
There was. I mean, so like the ceiling tiles. This was like a really weird way of looking at it. They look like little, like Pop-Tart, like yeah, like the little bits of Pop-Tart on the floor. I'm like, why is my brain going to that? Maybe I'm just hungry. I don't know. But it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, there's little bits of Pop-Tart with some nails sticking out of it, just on the floor. But now just, but like. Now just to see how big that worship area is going to be. I don't know. I think Noah said you can fit about 140 chairs, like not comfortably, like probably about 100 comfortably, and then put 140, smushing them together. And more than likely he's going to put 140 in there because he wants the people in there. So now we're going to go into questions about our youth. And so when you look at the youth as a whole, not just Northside, but when you look at our youth today, are you worried about the future, or do you see hope?
Oh, I see. Yeah, especially for Northside, it's growing a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first came here, and when I was about 7, there was no one. I'm pretty sure there had to be at least 20 kids in the youth. Now, how many are there?
Well, like on a good school night, you can get. I think Noah said at one point. I think I heard him say 50.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids in our youth now.
And that's not that's not counting the ones that just can't make it to Wednesday night because of other activities. I think a good example of that is D-Now last year. We had 150 kids up on the stage. Oof. We filled that stage up.
Our church is packed.
I know, and was it? No, it was 2 services. 2 we sang for both services.
Yeah.
Oh, my throat was tired after that. But yeah, I would, definitely. It's weird for me, and I've told other people this. Like for me, of course, Northside, you see a bunch of hope in it, and then you go to Lowndes or Valdosta, and you're like, ooh, they need to get FCA right now.
Yeah,
right now. Yeah. 100%. There's a lot of that's an example of it. There's a lot of stuff that just goes on that just shouldn't. It's like, and I know they can't catch everything, but it's like, my gosh, how is this being let in? Or even some of the stuff that I've talked about on the podcast before, like them just trying to throw stuff in your curriculum that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
and it's like, ooh, And I've actually, not to name names or nothing, and I've told it before, I've actually had a little bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I know what to look out for, but not everybody does. There's a plenty of people that are at Valdosta or Lowndes that don't know, hey, this is wrong. And they're trying to shove this, they're trying to put it in your head. So you need to be watchful, and that's just a warning for anybody, really. Like, you have to be watchful of what assignments you're given. Thoroughly read it. I promise you, they might be trying to put something in there. Not always, but possibly. Like, I don't know how you're going to put math. You're going to indoctrinate math, but hey, you never know, right? So as youth today, we face a ton, and I mean a ton of just different obstacles, right? Maybe like social media or whatever and things like that. What's some advice you would give if somebody walked up to you and said, hey, Charlie, I'm struggling right now to navigate this world in a biblical way, and to keep my eyes on Jesus, what would you tell them if you were put in that situation?
I mean, the main thing, if you're struggling to live biblical, is to just read your Bible,
Yeah.
Get a quiet time with God. Personally, I do mine in the mornings because at night, I'm a bit too tired.
Yeah, it's we out, yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, read your Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Or, pray too, because that's
man.
really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I I'd say just to stay away from any type of social media that's like, it's,
You have to, yeah. Oh, I know what you understand. I know what you're saying. Like, there's so much. There is. And, it's weird because, like, for me, it's 50-50 again because you can use it in a really good way.
Yeah, you definitely can. You can spread the gospel.
Right, you can. But then other times, there's so many weird things on it. Like, I'm able to spread this podcast in a different way, like through their social media, but that don't mean there's the weird stuff on it too.
Yeah.
There's like there's some strange stuff on social media that I probably don't have to get into because people already know. But you have to be watchful of that stuff, not just you do, man. Like, I mean, and so that's why I just say if you got to get on your phone, get on the Bible app or something. Like, it's better off anyway, right? So for my last question, why do you think people run away, like, especially like, young people, right? They run away when you start talking about Jesus. Like, they run away when they hear the name Jesus. Like, why do you think that happens?
I feel like people don't really like Jesus because they're not like him,
Yeah,
the
idea.
They tend to run away from him because they want to live their way. They don't want to live the way that Jesus lived. They don't want to live the way the Bible teaches to live. They want to live their way, partying.
Mm-hmm. And they're scared of what?
They're most likely also scared of like what Jesus is going to think about them if they do come to him.
Right. Well, because we don't know. They might have been judged in the past for that same thing, or like one thing I've heard is like they don't. They're worried about giving this certain thing up. But I'm like, you gotta. And if you really want to seek out Jesus, you're going to want to give that up.
Yeah.
And probably deep down, if you're worried about giving it up, I could be wrong, but you may probably want to give it up deep down. You just, that is so important. Like, I know that people, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about it, or like, I don't want to go to church, this and that, whatever. But one cool thing that I've heard from different people is, Jesus didn't hurt you, the church did. Because the church is a man-made thing, right? But, and I'm not saying that church isn't a good thing to go to, because it is. But, don't hate on Jesus when he's not the one that hurt you, right? I'm saying like maybe somebody in the church, like, I don't know, whatever it may be, you might have got hurt by it, but not Jesus, so follow Jesus. Like, and again, when I say that, I don't mean that like the church is bad, but it is the truth. Because like there's some churches, they're better than others, and that's just the truth. I mean, I can't really think of any off the top of my head because Northside's the first one that I've been to, but that is the truth. But if you have any final thoughts or words of encouragement or whatever that you might want to say, then go ahead.
Just stay in the Word.
Yeah, man.
Stay close to God. Don't stray away. I know sometimes it's a little hard to live in this world while also being a Christian. But the thing you got to remember is you got to build up your rewards in heaven, not on this earth.
Yep.
So just talk to people about Jesus. Tell them the gospel. Spread the word.
Yeah, man. I love it. And I thank you so much for coming on. And heck, you're the youngest person to come on here. So, and I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen. And I hope somebody gets something out of it.
It's really fun.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yep, of course. And with that, another episode of the Young Minds Podcast comes to a close. Always remember, you are never alone, and faith is action. So let's get out there.